You are not alone. Yeah, life is overwhelming, and even as adults, we struggle with all of these big feelings and thoughts that somehow make us feel alone. But none of us are actually alone. We are a collective narrative, even while our experiences and lives differ. The human narrative is the tie that binds us, and you have found the podcast that will bring it all together. So don't go anywhere.
Welcome to the Human Narrative Podcast, where we share stories that resonate amongst us all.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the podcast. I am your host, Clark Webb, and while you and I might not know each other, I bet we share many similar struggles, albeit in different ways. For instance, I struggled with the fear of failure for a very long time, and I still do because, fears never really go away. And I'm going to assume that you understand what the fear of failure feels like. But how did we both come to develop that fear? Well, that's based on our individual life journey and experiences, starting from childhood and moving forward. But it's something we could probably reminisce about. It's an internal narrative, whether emotional, mental, or spiritual, that you and I probably share in one way or another. Another example, and bear with me and keep listening because this will all make sense by the end of the episode. And I believe that you clicked on this podcast for a reason. So, another example. My career path has taken me in and out of high corporate roles and into blue-collar worker bee roles. But no matter where I've been or where I'm going, I always connect with people vastly different than me, yet we are almost one and the same. Recently, I was holding space for a friend at my most recent job, and he was talking nostalgically yet somewhat resentfully about his childhood and how he wished his dad would have pushed him more, taught him more, challenged him to finish college. In that moment, he felt that if all of that would have happened, he would not be where he was at 41 years old, which is, quote unquote, stuck in a passionless 9-to-5 job, getting underpaid with little or no room for upward movement or a bigger salary. And finally, and most importantly, feeling like he could not give his family of 4 the life that he wanted for them. And honestly, what he said really resonated with me. So when he was done, I replied to him, "Look, I hear you. From one parent to another, I totally get it. What's interesting though is that my parents did all of that. They pushed me aggressively in sports and music. They helped me pay for college and they pushed me to finish. Honestly, not that I wanted to or even really had a choice, but they wanted me to obtain my bachelor's even when I wanted to quit and felt it was a waste of time and money. They raised me to show up on time, work hard, and be grateful that I had a job, even if it was a job I hated. And look, you and I are exactly in the same place in life. We are equals in pay and in many other ways, even though our lives and our paths to this moment have been completely different. And listener, I hope that these two examples resonate with you somehow because I really do believe that we are all connected by the feelings, thoughts, and emotions associated with our individual struggles and ups and downs and wins and losses and the good times and the bad times. And the purpose of this podcast is to share meaningful conversations, stories, and even daily narratives to prove all of that so that ultimately you don't have to feel alone and no one has to feel alone. Because that's a big part of it. There is an immense amount of loneliness in our personal struggles, thinking that no one will ever understand how we feel on a day-to-day basis. And I don't want this next statement to sound trivial or flippant, but I want you to know that I understand. And that's why I created this podcast, because I hope that it reaches the right people who need to hear whatever that they need to hear at the right moment. And I know that you and we may never meet, and I may never get to hold space for you, even though, honestly, I really do hope that we meet someday, so I can hold space for you. But whatever I can offer in support in the meantime will be a reflection of the collective human narrative in whatever conversations I can drum up with everyday people like myself, people that have so much to share and so much to say. Along with, of course, I'm going to share some really vulnerable episodes where I talk about my own life and my struggles with things like mental health, alcoholism, overcoming alcoholism, sobriety, parenting, grief, loss. I'm going to span the narrative gambit to make sure that we touch on feelings, thoughts, and emotions that we all struggle with on a daily basis. basis. And I'm going to do that through sharing my own pain. And hopefully I'm going to do that by allowing others to share their pain as well. Because all of this matters, and your experience in all of it matters too. And ultimately, I hope that maybe something in my own story or someone else's story will resonate with you and help you feel a little bit less alone. So that's it for now. The first episode is a short one because this is just an introduction, so make sure you go straight to episode number 2, which I'm sure will hit home if you feel like nothing ever goes right or nothing seems to work no matter what you do. Much love and life. I'm Clark, and I really appreciate you checking out my podcast, The Human Narrative. Thanks for your time, and I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.